Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Ben. Today is the latest installment in our Real Size of Star Trek Ships series. Today we're going to look at 3 ships from the new series, Star Trek Discovery. Now today, Star Trek isn't really made by the same people as it was back in the 90s and early 2000s. Back then, Rick Sternbach and Michael Okuda made very accurate ship designs, size and technical specifications, and even wrote the rather thick technical manual for the Enterprise D. We don't have the luxury of a technical manual for any of the ships in Discovery, but people on the internet have been talking and analyzing various details which could give us some idea of the sizes of these ships. Let's start with the Shenzhou. It was a Walker-class starship named after this guy, John Walker, a NASA test pilot who flew space planes. The ship supposedly has 10 decks, according to a computer display in one of the turbo lifts, which many fans now think is inaccurate, since in the show, the ship sustains damage to a deck 15, giving it at least 15 decks.
Direct hit, hull breaches, decks 13 through 15.
But even in the old days of the Next Generation movies, they sometimes got confused about how many decks the Enterprise E had. Picard thinks there are 24.
How big is this ship?
There are 24 decks.
This guy thinks there are 26.
It looks like the control deck's 26 up to 11.
And Worf thinks there are 29.
Security detail to deck 29.
Anyway, 10 decks works fine for me because it would make the Shenzhou a little bit smaller than the Discovery, and that makes sense because the Discovery is the main ship in the show. As for length, it's hard to say. The Shenzhou looks reasonably similar to the Enterprise NX-01, which was 225 meters long. That's about the length of 2 football fields, and that ship had just 7 decks. So I'm guessing that the Shenzhou would be at least that length or longer since it has 10 decks or more. According to the turbolift deck plan, the bridge is on deck 7. This is on the bottom of the saucer section. And this makes sense considering the ship has the ability of atmospheric flight. Having the bridge on the bottom of the saucer allows the crew to observe the land below them through the large windows. It's just like how they used to put the bridge and passenger compartments on the bottom of Zeppelins at the beginning of the 20th century. I'm sure the Shenzhou is a lot safer than a Zeppelin though. Now to the Discovery, and this is the main ship in the show. It has spore drive, which enables it to travel to any point in the universe, apparently. According to people online who've counted the rows of windows on the Eaglemoss model of the Discovery, it has 18 decks. And this number makes sense because that would make it a little bit smaller than the original series Kirk and Spock's Enterprise, which has 21 decks, and a little bit bigger than the Shenzhou and the NX-01 Enterprise. As for the ship's length, one online estimate I got was 244 meters, that's 800 feet. That is possible, but I would say over 300 is more probable due to how long the Discovery's warp engines are. Now for a real-world comparison. So if we go with these measurements, the Discovery would come out at a similar height as the Oasis class Harmony of the Seas, which also has 18 decks. But if the height dimensions are the same on the 2 ships, the Discovery would have to be much longer, although a lot of this length would come from the length of the warp engines. Now for the Klingon sarcophagus ship. Although I really hate the redesign of the Klingons, the sarcophagus ship has been one of the cool things about this show. It's a 200-year-old ship that's covered in coffins, and its Gothic design reminds me of something out of Warhammer 40,000, or one of the ships out of Jupiter Ascending, you know, that movie in which Channing Tatum plays a Vulcan. The fact that it's covered with coffins led some die-hard Trekkies to protest, saying, "But the Klingons don't care about the body after death."
You wish the bodies returned?
They are now only empty shells. Dispose of them as you see fit.
And in the past that was true, but this new series is pretty much like being in a parallel universe anyway, so whatever. This thing is apparently 3 times the size of any Federation vessel, so if the Discovery is around 300 meters, that would mean the sarcophagus ship has to be about 1 kilometer long. That's bigger than the Enterprise E, and in the real world, it would be longer than Central Park is wide. Well, that's all the information I have for you guys today. Tech specs on these ships are scarce, and I don't think we're going to get a Discovery technical manual anytime soon. If we do get some updated specifications, maybe I'll do another video on it. And comment below if you know something that I don't. Subscribe if you're new, give this video a like, and if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.